help me, you're going to eat this stuff until it comes out of your ears.
Okay. Pour some in the bowl. But if it don't explode, I don't want it.
I'll pour it in the bowl.
Probably that old crickling pops.
Now, I'll pour a little cream over it. Oh, now stand back and cover your face.
Well, that stuff ain't so hot. Didn't even blow up the table.
All right. Now eat your cereal.
Okay, I will. You go out of the room and I will eat it.
Oh, no, I know what you'll do.
What?
You'll throw it out the window.
Oh, now, why are you so suspicious?
Ha ha.
Just because the mailman came in one day with oatmeal on his hat.
Well, at least drink your milk.
No.
Wouldn't you like to grow up and be big and strong? And be heavyweight champion of the world?
And have the tax department to take all me money? Oh, no! I don't mind beatings, but I like them a little less physical, if you don't
Well,
mind.
at least drink your milk.
Well, now, I know Elsie the cow's going to hate me for this, but I can't stand that stuff. It gives me a hangover.
Oh, Junior, I'm sorry I turned around when your father whistled at me on Hollywood and Vine.
Yeah. Oh, there's me little kitty cat out in the back porch.
Stop stalling. Eat.
Hmm?
Or at least drink your milk. It'll make you big and strong, Junior. I'm going to finish drying the dishes.
Okay. Well, here I is, all alone with this glass of milk staring at me. Oh, boy, if it hated me like I hate it, it would curdle me in 1 minute. Well, I guess I doomed to drink it, I guess. Oh, there's my kitty cat on the back. I'll give it to him. Here, kitty boy. Here, happy one. I'm going to pour the milk in your little dish for you. Then. Do me a favor. Will you drink it all? Yeah. Boy, you really hungry. You stay here. I'll go get you some more milk. Stay there now. Kitty cat, I bought you jumping quicker. What happened to you? Boy, Mommy was right. That stuff do make you grow big. Hey, here's some more milk. Hey, Mommy, come out here. Look what the milk did to me kitty cat.
Oh, that's not our cat, Junior. Is it?
Yeah.
It must belong to one of the neighbors.
No, it don't. Come here.
Oh, stop pulling his tail.
I'm not pulling. I'm holding on. He's doing the pulling. Come here. Let me pet you, kitty cat. You know, now that stuff's making him nervous. He tried to bite me. You stop acting like that. I'm your buddy. I like
Junior,
you.
get your head away from his.
Why?
He might bite you and break his teeth.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Junior, I'm afraid you'll have to take him out and lose him.
Why?
He's so big. What will we feed him?
Oh, I don't know. He'll find something around here to eat. He sure like you. Look, he can hardly take his eyes off of you. Sit down. I think he wants to curl up in your lap. Who's that coming? Oh, here comes Fatso.
Lorena, Junior.
What's the matter?
Lock yourselves in the house and stay there. There's a pantser loose in the neighborhood.
Are you sure,
Don't
Rod?
pay no attention to him. He's the guy that saw flying saucers, too. What do a panther look like?
Well, he's about 20 times bigger than a cat.
Do tell.
He's real black and shiny.
Go on.
He's got big green eyes.
You mean like this kitty cat here?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, he looks a lot... That's him!
Junior, get into the house!
Get in the house!
Wait till I open the door.
Look, you know, at a time like this, I'm not much for details, believe me.
Oh, look out, Rod. He looks like he's going to charge you.
Well, don't do that, Panther. Make him pay cash and through the nose. Run, Fatso, run. He's gaining on you.
I can feel his hot breath. Oh!
Now you can really run, boy. You're out in the open.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, until next Sunday.
This is Red Skelton saying goodbye now, and thanks for listening.
And this is Rod O'Connor reminding you that whether you wash with rinsing or without, Tide does a better wash day job than any soap on earth.
Tide's in, dirt's out, T-I-D-E, Tide.
Join us again next Sunday for the Red Skelton Show. Red Skelton is heard in this program through the courtesy of Metro Golden Mare. This is a copyrighted feature. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
There's more classics coming your way from Old Time Radio USA and the WOTR Radio Network.
This new Wendy's Frosty flavor is way too exciting to keep under wraps. It's a brand new, first-of-its-kind flavor. Get this, pumpkin spice. I know, right? It's so good. It's rich, it's cozy. It's the perfect flavor for some fall Frosty time. Watch, everyone will see it and jump on the bandwagon. Grab a never-before-seen Pumpkin Spice Frosty or Pumpkin Spice Frosty Cream Cold Brew today when you choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Whether you're into running or running or running or running or running that's actually mostly walking, running with the Peloton Tread isn't just one thing. From walks and hikes to sprint intervals, we have classes for every level and instructors to support you all the way through. Whatever you're in the mood for, we can get you in the zone. See for yourself with a 30-day home trial. Visit onepeloton.com/home-trial. Terms apply.
At Lowe's, we know that first responders deserve our thanks. We're grateful for the first responders who keep our homes and families safe. To show our thanks, Lowe's invites eligible first responders to register for an exclusive set of coupons. Plus, check out this month's store events and shop fire safety products. Visit us in-store or online today. Lowe's knows home improvement. Terms, exclusions, and restrictions apply. Visit Lowe's.com/first responders to get more info and register now.
Hi, this is Gail from Navy Federal Credit Union. How can I help you?
Hey, Gail. I'm looking for a credit card that's good for a busy lifestyle.
I've got the hookup. You can earn 3 times the points on dining and 2 times on fuel with our Go Rewards card. IYKYK.
Do you mean if you know, you know?
Is that what that means?
We totally get it. Finance, that is. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
Humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
As part of Old Time Radio USA's Halloween Spooktacular is a marathon of The Witch's Tales, beginning October 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, immediately following the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde 52-part serial marathon. Brought to you by Old Time Radio USA and the WOTR Radio Network. You're listening to the oldest streaming old-time radio station on the internet today, Old Time Radio USA.
This is Vincent Price. Here's another item for your Bermuda Triangle scrapbook. This one we will solve for you within the hour. The solution will be more simple, more complete, and more reasonable than most you have heard from that mysterious area. And yet, when you hear the solution, you may find it more disquieting than the mystery. For then you will always wonder, when you've made a simple purchase at the store, a loaf of bread, a pair of shoes, a palatial new yacht, what else may be wrapped up in the package?
But Henry, dear, it's an absolute dreamboat. Now, isn't it?
Well, it is a pretty boat, Celia.
And the price. Who would imagine that you and I could buy a boat like this at such a price?
Oh, Mr. Merrickin's price is good, my love. So good, in fact, that...
That what, dear?
That I wonder what's the matter with the boat. Is it haunted?
That's only the beginning of our story.
Mutual Radio Theater, a new adventure in radio listening. 5 nights of exceptional entertainment every week, brought to you in Elliott Lewis's production of the Mutual Radio Theater. Our story, The Voyage of No Return by Edward Borges. Our stars, Jeanette Nolan, Parley Bear, and Eddie Firestone.
Mutual Radio Theater is brought to you by Sears, a name that means quality and value. A name that you can count on for service and dependability. Sears, where America shops for value.
Arnold Palmer, back home in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. He got his start on the golf course here, sitting on his father's lap, helping to steer the tractor that mowed the fairways. This is where he learned 2 things he never forgot: his golf and his continuing concern for the meticulous care and upkeep of equipment.
In those days, I was in school. When they were really maintaining the equipment, I was helping do all aspects of it, putting the Pennzoil in to actually rinsing the parts when we were tearing the plugs out. And, of course, it was my business to know what to do with all those things.
Pennzoil motor oil. Arnold Palmer got to know his Pennzoil early.
Having lived here in Pennsylvania, and not very far from where Pennzoil originated, why, it was a natural thing for me.
The natural thing. You know, it seems like asking for Pennzoil motor oil is the natural thing with all kinds of people who know a lot and do a lot. Pennzoil. Ask for it.
The story you were about to hear starts with a newspaper clipping. That clipping is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And here's what it says. Guests at the Tropica Hotel who came out for an early morning swim today found a bizarre spectacle waiting for them down on the beach. 2 corpses washed up side by side, each in full evening attire. No wounds, but quite dead. Police have tentatively identified the couple as Mr. and Mrs. George Willoughby of Akron, Ohio. A retired factory executive, Willoughby moved to Miami Beach with his wife about a month ago. There they are reported to have purchased a beautiful ocean-going yacht, the Flamingo. Since neither Mr. and Mrs. Willoughby had ever dipped their toes into an ocean before this month, it's unthinkable that they would have been so rash as to set out to sea alone in their new yacht. But the Flamingo, which 3 days ago was tied securely to its Miami Beach moorings, has now vanished. Another weird blank from the world's most sinister stretch of ocean. Well, that's the clipping. Right at this moment, it doesn't mean a thing to Henry and Celia Grant, recently of Tripola, Iowa. Henry and Celia have been driving south down the west coast of Florida. At an out-of-the-way spot called Benson's Cove, they used a substantial part of their savings to make the purchase of their lives, a luxury yacht that they've named the Harvester. Right now, there's nothing on their minds except that life-fulfilled dream. But soon they will remember the clipping. Oh, yes, indeed, they'll remember.
Well, Celia, I reckon we better stop gawking and get on board.
What are you up to, Henry?
Well, the Harvester's not going to do us much good tied up here at the dock. I'm going to figure out how to start the motor, and away we'll go.
Henry, you can't do that. You've never been in anything bigger than a rowboat.
Oh, I think the old Combine was as big as this yacht, and I imagine the machinery was about equally complicated. I've spent most of my life on one kind of machine or another. Have you forgotten already?
Oh, Henry, you're terribly smart around the farm, and you know I've never questioned that. And I don't mind drowning any more than you will. But I am not going to have you backing half our life savings into an ocean liner just because you happen to pull a wrong lever.
Want to run it yourself, my love?
Now listen, honey, we have to find someone who knows all about ocean yachts and hire him as our crew. At least until you've had a chance to learn how everything works.
Well, I don't see that that's really...
Hallelujah. Your prayers are answered. Praise the Lord.
He must have been very attentive. I wasn't even aware that I was asking the...
Henry, don't be awful. What did you mean, young man?
Vernon Wallace, ma'am, and I can see you understand how a man talks when he's been saved, always praising.
Of course. And Henry understands, too. Sometimes he just gets a little cantankerous.
Oh, I know how it is, and I don't mind a bit. Now, would you be Brother Henry and Sister Celia?
We are not brother and sister. We're married.
Oh, I get it, old timer. Some kidder. Well, now, Mother Grant, Brother Marican tells me he just sold this boat to a couple of rich Iowa farmers who don't know the stem from the stern. And if they don't want to just stand there on the docks drooling at it, he says they're praying right now for an expert navigator.
And you're an expert navigator?
It is the way I make my living, sir. Praise the Lord.
Oh, Henry, how wonderful. We will take him, won't we?
Well, I expect it'll be all right to watch somebody else for a few days till I get the hang of it myself.
Great. Now, that's the spirit, old timer. Listen, I'll just get my sea bag, and I'll be right with you.
Henry, why are you so hostile to that fine young man?
Not hostile, Celia. Maybe not entirely convinced.
Of what? Surely you're not going to be suspicious of a man who has been saved.
Not as a general rule. But of course, there's always...
Always what, Henry?
Always the case of Judas Iscariot.
Rock of Ages, left
there he goes again.
Henry, surely you're not objecting to a young man who'd rather sing one of the great hymns instead of that heathen rock and roll.
No, It's very inspiring. Maybe before we get back to land, he'll learn another hymn.
I like it. Well, Henry, I see you're wood carving again.
Yeah. I'm going to settle down to some serious time wasting now. Especially till I learn how to run this boat for myself.
Well, is that... It is. It's the harvester you're modeling.
Yeah.
And that's why you've been doing all the measuring all over the boat.
Well, it wouldn't do not to have the proportions right. Are you worried about shavings on this spotless deck, my love?
Oh, of course not. One sweep of the broom and they'll all be in the ocean, gone forever. Henry, I do like a young man strong in the faith.
Me too, Celia. But the real religious folks don't go around shoving you into line. The ones who shove you are after something that's not good for you.
Honey, he carries his Bible with him all the time. And those pamphlets about salvation in his pocket. And he's always singing hymns.
Yep, packaged like soda crackers. To sell.
To sell what, Henry?
I don't know. Himself, maybe.
Oh, what's that?
Thunder, my dear.
Oh, but that means a storm. Only a few minutes ago, everything was so calm and sunshiny and beautiful. Now, look at that horizon.
Well, it's often like that, even in Iowa. Celia, I think you'd better know. I've been prowling around the boat in odd places, taking measurements.
Yes, for your wood carving.
Yeah. This is going to be to absolute scale, inside and out. Down in the hold, where normally neither one of us would ever look, under the firehouse, I found a loaded revolver.
Good gracious.
Now, what's a Bible-carrying, pamphlet-packing, saved young man doing with a loaded revolver?
Well, Now, wait, Henry. How do you know that's Vernon's gun?
Is it yours?
Well, it could have belonged to the previous owners.
Well, that's what I'd like to imagine, Celia. I'd like to imagine Vernon Wallace doesn't even know it's there.
That's there, mates. Squalls ahead. Time for landlubbers to go below.
Should we go, Henry?
Why, of course, my love. In a storm, the waves will sweep anyone off the deck, just like the wood shavings.
Yes, I'm sure you're right, Henry. Let's go below. That's dreary rain, Henry.
Rain seldom makes anything more fun, my dear.
And we're trapped in here. In case...
Well, out there, all he'd have to do would be to shoot, and we'd fall in the water. In here, at least.
Henry, what's this on the dresser?
Well, that. Well, now, that's something else I found while I was prowling around this morning. I took up the mattress to measure the exact dimensions of the bunk from the floor, and there this was, between the mattress and the bunk.
Why, it's a gold watch. How could
Yes,
it have...
I know, old-fashioned type, but new. Now, it must have belonged to the original owner of the Harvester. I'll have to try to get it back to him. I guess he mislaid it. And whatever Marikin did to redecorate the boat before he sold it again, he sure didn't take up the mattress. So he didn't find Willoughby's watch.
Willoughby?
Well, I deduced that, my love, from the inscription here. To George Willoughby from the gang at the plant, Akron, 1979, and there's a big 35 in the middle. I expect that's how long he worked there.
Willoughby, Henry, didn't I read in the paper about a Mr. and Mrs. George Willoughby of Akron?
No doubt, my dear. Hundreds of Willoughbys in the world. Well, that's funny. Watch seems to be all wound up, but it doesn't go. Now, that's odd for a practically new watch. Let me take off the back here and see. Well.
What is it?
Well, no wonder the watch won't go. It's got a piece of paper stuck in the works here, folded up like a message.
Is there a message, dear?
Yes, my love. There's a message. And I guess George Willoughby hoped the next owners of this boat would find it.
What's the message, Henry?
One word. Looks hastily scrawled. Murder.
Love.
Smashing.
How she plays?
No, how she looks. In action-proof eye makeup from Maybelline. Like ultra-big, ultra-lash mascara. Smear-proof, smudge-proof, waterproof. So longest-looking lashes stay in the thick of the action.
Game, set, and match.
Action-proof.
Keeps you looking good after the action, too.
Ultra-big, ultra-lash mascara. Incredibly long-looking lashes without flaky fibers. From Maybelline.
Smashing.
It's Athletes versus MS. Meet golf champion Lee Trevino.
One day you're a happy guy like me, Lee Trevino, walking around swinging your clubs, and out of the blue, you get struck down by multiple sclerosis, the great crippler of young adults. Right now there's no cure for MS, but there's hope through research. 500,000 victims of MS and related disorders may be invalids, one way or the other, all their lives.
Join Lee Trevino. Support your local chapter of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
I'm sure you've all had a visit from a relative you really didn't want to see, or a guest who just wouldn't go home at bedtime. But I hope you've never found yourself with a visitor who might be a threat to your life, or again might not. That's now Henry and Celia Grant's problem with their navigator on the Harvester.
You remember, dear, the Willoughbys of Akron, washed up on shore in their formal clothes, both dead.
Willoughby. Yes, I do remember now.
And they had bought a boat, the Flamingo. A boat a lot like this one.
They were high society, not farmers. Probably they usually celebrated by dressing for dinner, and if they were out on the ocean celebrating their new boat...
Yes, if they were out on the ocean, what happened to that dinner party? What... Oh, that watch made...
Hi, old timer. Evening, Mother Grant.
Hello,
Good
Vernon.
evening.
Well, what's the matter? My old friends sound on edge here.
We are.
Yeah, the ocean's getting a little rough, I will admit. Are you seasick?
No. No, we got on the other side of that by noon.
Good, great. You old-timers always did set the pace for us youngsters. And a storm at sea can be pretty scary, too. Every crack of thunder sounds like it's going to split you right in two. And every time a wave hits, old tub pitches just like it's headed for the bottom. I won't blame you if you get uneasy.
We're not afraid of the storm, Vernon.
And you are right, old Tomer. Tie the old stick in place, head straight into the waves, and relax. Ride right through a tidal wave.
Vernon, this afternoon down in the hold, Henry found a gun.
Oh? This gun, you mean?
Yes, Vernon. That gun.
Well, now, I didn't mention it to you folks because I didn't want to worry you.
What would worry us, Vernon?
I told you that anything that had to do with navigation, I'd take care of, and I can, and I will.
Yes, Vernon.
But in the past few years, in the Bermuda Triangle, there have been lots of boats like this.
Yes?
They sailed out to sea with expert navigators at the helm and the weather perfect. But they disappeared without a trace.
Well, now, how could that be, Vernon?
Well, there is buried treasure in these parts, and adventurers go looking for it. And sometimes those adventurers run into pirates, real 1980 pirates, complete with planes and battleships, see? And that's what this gun is really about, because I want to take good care of you folks.
One pistol against planes and battleships.
We're not even looking for buried treasure.
Ah, but you see, you're in a treasure. The harvester. These pirates pick up a boat here, a boat there, just by getting rid of its owners. And they sail this stolen vessel into an old out-of-the-way cove.
Like Benson's Cove, for instance?
Sure, old-timer, like Benson's Cove. They alter the boat's outward appearance, they repaint it and equip it with forged papers, they sell it again as soon as they can.
At a bargain price?
Of course.
And so long as they didn't overwork any one spot too often, they could keep up this kind of piracy forever without being caught.
Right on the money, old-timer.
But how could these pirates get hold of their stolen boats in the first place?
That's easy, Mother Grant. When they sell a stolen boat, they just sell it to someone who have to have a crew. And they arrange for one of their own men to be that crew. They give them a Bible, a few salvation tracts picked up from local revival meetings. They tell him to mumble a few hymns he's learned on the farm before he went to reform school. Create credibility among the gullible agents.
Credibility is the magic word today.
Oh, yeah, right on. With credibility, you can always find some rich dummies who's got lots of dough but no brains. And they'll invest a fortune in a boat when they don't even know which end sails forward. Yeah, but you'd never fall into such a dumb trap, would you, old-timer?
But I still don't understand.
Just ask me, Mother Grant.
What happens to the owners of a stolen boat?
Why, this rogue the suckers trusted just waits for a good storm. And he just points a gun, like this one, at his victims, like this. And he orders them up on deck. And in seconds, the waves from the storm just take care of the owners.
Even if their bodies are washed up on shore, there'd be no sign of any violence on them.
Another strange mystery of the sea.
Victims of the Bermuda Triangle, just like the newspaper said.
You're right, Mother Grant. Dead right.
But what if the victims refuse to go?
Refuse to go?
Yes. What if the victims won't do what the villain says?
Product value. Sears Laboratories work to maximize that value for you. Its manufacturing consultants work with products and their manufacturers to cut production costs. One example is our Power Spray carpet cleaner. Its plastic parts require molds to form them. Molds are expensive, especially certain designs, so our manufacturing consultants recommended designs that cut mold costs. End result, a better value for you. Sears Laboratories. One reason Sears is where America shops for value.
The Consumer Information Center of the U.S. government presents an easy way to get useful information. Just send the coupon portion of your radio to Pueblo, Colorado for a catalog listing more than 200 helpful federal publications, more than half of them free. If the coupon from your radio is missing, send your name and address on a plain piece of paper to Free Catalog, Pueblo, Colorado 81009. That's Pueblo, Colorado 81009. Send no radios, please.
What if they refuse to go? What kind of a question is that for a helpless elderly man staring into the business end of a revolver? And if the man holding the gun is asked a question like that, what can he answer?
What do you mean? What if they refuse to go?
What if they refuse to be this bad man's suckers?
Oh. Well, in that case, this fella just aim his gun at the two of them, pull the trigger twice like this.
When I found that gun, Vernon, I removed the firing pin and dropped it overboard.
Yeah. Yeah, I see you did. Now, how'd you manage that?
Farmers these days spend most of their lives with machinery. Taking apart a firearm is simpler than most jobs I used to have in a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is, huh? Yeah, you spend a few years in the city, you forget what life on a farm is really like. Well,
Well,
in a case like this, a nasty pirate fella'd have to go at it the messy way, wouldn't he?
what would that be, Vernon?
He'd have to use his pistol for a hammer and beat out the brains of his stubborn victims.
But he'd run into a problem there, too.
Oh, really? Such as?
One hint, Vernon. If you go on with this kind of work, don't ever call your elders old-timer.
Oh?
They don't like it. And what's more to the point, for your business, they don't trust anybody who does it. You remember I've been carving wood off and on ever since we put out to sea?
Yeah, I remember that.
Since I found that gun, I've been careful to keep the knife right here in my pocket. And you can see it's unusually sharp, and I'm quite expert with it.
Well. More goes on in the minds of you old codgers than one might think, huh?
Now, I know, Vernon, at some point you're planning to throw that gun in my face. That's what I'd think of in your fix, but I advise you, don't try it.
Why not?
Well, in the first place, old codgers also dodge a lot quicker than you think. In the second place, the boat's pitching pretty wildly now, and the chances of your aim going true are very slight. And in the third place, if you try it, I shall most certainly stick you with this in the front and out the back.
Nice old man like you.
I've killed more hogs than you have mosquitoes, young man. Now, if I were you, I'd drop that gun. Thank you.
Listen, you ice-blooded pig-sticker. When you found that pistol, why didn't you just take it and shoot me?
Without being sure what you were? Why, that would have been murder, young man. Now, I have one more question for you. Celia, hand me that watch.
Yes.
What is George Willoughby's watch doing?
Willoughby's watch? You're mad.
With this message, Vernon. Murder.
Come on now, who are you and what are you doing here?
And what's that name you keep confusing with the Harvester? Young man, are we the new tenants of the Flamingo?
Give me the watch.
Stand back! Look out, you young
Give
fool!
me that!
Henry, are you all right?
Yes. Yes, my dear, I'm all right, but I think Mr. Wallace may need a little nursing. I'll keep my eye on him, but if you could take a look at him.
I'll just do that, Henry.
Be careful, Celia.
I will, dear. Henry, no one can help Vernon now.
Oh, my. I didn't mean to kill him. Honestly, Celia.
I believe you, Henry.
As he came at me, the boat lurched, and I fell right against his chest with...
He was intending to kill us, dear. We were only defending ourselves. And you had an accident. Anyone could see that.
Yes, of course. At least I think so.
What do you mean, Henry?
Well, You know, you thought he was such a wonderful young man.
Yes, I did. Clean-cut, courteous, considerate.
Bright and helpful and sane.
Yes, but that was all a fake. He was a thief and a killer.
Yes, we know that now, but who else knows it?
Perhaps he's done this sort of thing before.
Well, I'm sure he has. But the only people who know that are at the bottom of the sea where he intended to put us.
Something dropped out of his inner coat pocket.
Well, his Bible.
And those papers on
it. Just religious tracts. See, it says on the cover here.
Yes.
Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Oh, no. It's a message to us.
Oh, Celia, you just said it was an accident.
Yes, but you said who else would know it.
Yes, I did. Anybody else who knew him might have thought of him just as you did at first.
Henry, there has to be some proof of who he was and what he was. Something we can show people, and they'd be certain to believe us.
Well, we've never looked into his cabin.
It wouldn't have been nice.
Well, we'd better look now. Steady, my dear. Waves are really getting rough.
Yes, here's his cabin. Oh, he's locked the door.
Yeah, he always did, but of course it is our boat, and I have a key, too. There we go.
I found the light switch.
Careful.
Oh, look. How neat everything is. The bed made, everything picked up. My goodness, our Raymond never kept a room like this, I must say.
Well, boys don't, you know, dear. At least not ordinary boys.
Now, here's his suitcase.
Yeah, let me get it up on the bed.
It's locked.
Well, I'll open it with a knife.
Henry, that's the knife.
I know. But I wiped the blood off on his clothes. Here, let me get at that lock.
Oh, Henry, I'm afraid.
Of what now?
We don't know what's inside the suitcase.
No, but we've got to find out.
Why, it's full of money.
There must be hundreds of dollars in bills and also neatly bundled.
You'd expect that.
Where do you think he got them?
Well, from his evangelism, maybe. You remember he said he did take up collections. And sometimes there's lots of money in even one of those collections.
So if anyone found him with all this money, he could say it was from the Lord for the Lord's work.
Perhaps it was, Henry. He did seem like such a nice young man.
Celia, have you forgotten the gun in his hand when he ordered us on deck? And the clicks when he tried to shoot us?
But, Henry, maybe he thought we were trying to kill him. Maybe he was a nice young man, but he carried the gun to protect himself from people like us.
Oh, come on. You don't really believe that.
But other people might. They very well might, especially if they found us here with his corpse and his suitcase and all his money.
Well, if they do that... No, by thunder, they won't do that.
Why won't they, Henry?
No one saw us leave. So if we just dispose of Vernon's body...
Dispose?
Chuck it overboard, Celia. Into the sea.
But the body might someday wash ashore.
Even so, they could never prove, never even suspect that the body came from this boat.
But Henry...
Yes.
What if there's been a mistake?
What kind of a mistake?
I don't know. If I knew, it wouldn't be a mistake.
My dear, there's always a possible mistake. But our worst mistake would be not to take reasonable precautions.
Perhaps so, Henry. Then let's do it. Right away. Ah!
Celia, what is it?
On the porthole there! Toward the horizon!
I don't see anything.
It's gone now. But there in the sky, there was a light.
A light? Oh, you mean lightning?
No, Henry, a light. Round, steady in one place, glowing like a giant sea monster's eye.
Celia, you're letting your imagination run away with you now.
Well, you know, Vernon did say this is a very strange part of the ocean. Some people have brought back weird, frightening tales. Who knows what might be out there?
Celia, we have plenty of problems right inside this boat without worrying about spooks outside. Now, come on. Let's get this young man overboard.
Of course, Henry. You know best.
And that's why we say, go out and buy a bunch today.
That's your new TV commercial, Mr. Sloak, for Snacky Crackies with Raisin Pits.
How much did that actually cost me?
Cost?
Yes.
Well, we're still adding it all up here. 42,000.
Gee, TV is so expensive.
Not as long as there aren't any changes.
Did I mention there may soon be a worldwide shortage of Raisin Pits?
One TV version without Raisin Pits.
How much will that add to the...
93,000.
And we want to tell Health Nuts we make snackies with Health Nuts.
279,000.
And we need a version that will talk to the financial community.
Put the singing mouse and the dancing bunny in a business suit for...
Let me add that one for you. 300.
If business conditions make it necessary, with radio you can afford to change commercials fast. If you want to really target consumer groups, it won't cost a fortune to make commercials that fit each audience. Put amazingly flexible radio to work as a primary medium. Radio, it's red hot. For the red hot facts, call this station or the Radio Advertising Bureau. They brought you this message.
Vincent Price again. And here's the fourth act of The Voyage of No Return.
You know, Henry...
Yes, my love?
When we've disposed of Vernon...
Yes, Celia?
Well, it'll be just as he said.
What do you mean?
He was right. Neither you nor I know the first thing about navigating a boat, even in perfect weather. We'll never...
Come on, Celia. Let's get back to Vernon. We've got to face this situation as we've faced everything else for the last 43 years. One thing at a time.
Yes, Henry. Of course.
Now, steady. There's nothing to fear from Vernon anymore.
Poor boy. He looks almost like our Raymond asleep, doesn't he?
Well, Raymond never tried to kill us that I know of. Come on. We've got to get rid of him.
One thing, he's just bled in front there. There won't be any messy cleaning up to do.
No, it won't be like the time Raymond cut his foot with the axe.
Oh, dear.
My dear, I'm afraid I'm not quite strong enough to do this alone. Would you take his other leg and help me?
Yes, of course, Henry.
You see it? Let me get this door open. There. Now, don't go out on deck. Just push him out of the waves. We'll take care of the rest.
Oh, Henry! The boat gave such a lurch and flung me out here on the deck.
I know. Me too, and it slammed the door after us.
Where's Vernon?
He went over with that first wave.
Then we'll never see him again.
No, but if we don't get back inside fast, we'll join him. Now, watch your footing. The water's made the deck as slippery as oil. No, it's all right, Celia. Just a few more inches and...
Henry! That light!
What?
It's blinding me!
Oh!
What's he saying?
He wants us back inside, and we better go, too.
Oh, I can't get the door open! The wind's blowing so hard!
Let me help. Now, come on, we'll both pull.
Oh!
Hard now! Hard as you can!
That wave almost got us!
Yes, and the next one will pull, dear, pull!
Oh!
There now. We're safe.
Safe! With that light hanging in the sky above us. And that voice. What could it... Wait. I know.
What do you know, my dear?
Henry! Don't you see? Out the porthole in that last flash of lightning, about half a mile away, there's a ship out there, a giant ship.
Yes, I thought I saw something. Too, it could have been.
And that light hanging in the sky, don't you understand? It's a helicopter from that ship.
Yes, that would explain that voice, but why in this terrible storm?
Oh, Henry, darling, it's all too clear. Vernon was a pirate.
Oh, one man, a pirate, Celia. For heaven's sakes, pirates travel together in... Oh, good heavens.
Yes, exactly. In ships like that one out there. They might even be going to land on our deck with that helicopter, and then they'll...
Celia, listen to me now. Go back to Vernon's room, turn out the light, and lock the door. Do you hear? Unlock it only if you hear me say so.
Well, what will you do?
This knife isn't much, but they'll have to get past me to get to you.
No! I won't leave you, Henry. Whatever is going to happen to you is going to happen to us.
Celia, I insist, I demand...
Henry, it's going to be all right.
What? What's going to be all right?
In that flash of lightning, I saw the helicopter right out that porthole, and below it, 2 men on a rope ladder.
Well, then they'll be here in no time at all.
Yes, but on the underside of the helicopter, I saw red stripes and the words United States Coast Guard.
Oh, thank God, thank God.
We'll be safe now. And I suppose there's no sign of Vernon.
Not a trace.
Oh, but Henry, you know that money. We must try to get it back to the people it belongs to.
Celia, there's no way to find out who they were or who owns which part of what.
What do you think we should do with it, Henry? Perhaps some worthy cause.
Oh, good heavens.
What, Henry?
That money. If those Coast Guardsmen should get suspicious...
But why should they? You said there wasn't any trace
of Vernon. But how could we explain all that money in his suitcase?
Oh, I see what you mean. It'll look more than ever as though we've killed Vernon for his money and disposed of him.
Celia.
Come on, open up. It's the United States Coast Guard. Open the door.
It's not locked.
Don't move. We've got you covered.
I'm not moving.
Where's the man who was just with you?
Henry, he's right. He was here just a moment ago. I don't know where he is now.
Watch her. I'll look around. We saw him in the searchlight. He has to be here.
Oh, Henry's here, young man. He was just standing beside me. But you be careful what you do. Henry may be frightened, but he wouldn't hurt a fly, and don't you hurt him.
Don't worry, ma'am. We know what we're doing. Where's the crew for this boat, ma'am?
There's no crew, young man.
We're checking all boats from southern Florida now out at sea.
Why should you do that?
We're looking for a young man. We've trailed as far as a place called Benson's Cove. And there we lost him. His name is Vernon Wallace.
What about this? Vernon Wallace. Oh! What have you done to my husband?
Well, take it easy, lady. Now, just relax.
Henry!
And no one will be hurt.
What have you done?
No. All right, Celia. Just a little distraction for the officers.
Davidson, I think the storm has jarred this man's brain.
How so, sir?
Well, I found him in the aft cabin, standing on the bunk, throwing his suitcase out the porthole. When I ordered him to put up his hands, he tried to climb out the porthole himself. He didn't stop when I fired a shot into the air. I had to drag him back.
Yeah, I'm all right now, officer. I'm afraid the terror of being adrift in this storm unhinged me for a moment.
Don't worry about it, sir. We all have our wobbly moments in the face of the unknown. Hey, this night must have been pretty terrible for both of you.
Oh, it was that, young man.
Yeah, well, I could tell you some stories.
Not now. Yes, sir. You'd probably like to have Davidson here pilot the boat back to harbor for you.
Oh, we'd be so grateful, officer.
The helicopter and the patrol boat out there will both be keeping an eye on you.
Splendid.
Before I leave, is there anything else?
Why? What else would there be?
I was hoping you might be able to give us some word about young Vernon Wallace.
Why?
The authorities want to talk with him. He fits the description of a mystery man who's been specializing in robbery and murder on the high seas. Oh, there's some harebrained talk about a Vernon Wallace being connected with a 20th century pirate gang. That's crazy, of course.
Oh, yes. Crazy.
But since you can't tell me anything about him, I'll be on my way.
Wait.
Yes, sir?
I do have something to tell you about Vernon Wallace.
Henry.
The conclusion of our story after these words.
Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened Miss Muffet away.
Children are naturally frightened of many things. Creepy, crawly bugs, sleeping in the dark, or maybe just baiting their own fish hook. And millions of children are unnaturally frightened by something else, child abuse.
Every year, millions of children suffer physical, emotional, or sexual abuse or neglect at the hands of their own confused parents, neighbors, or relatives. You can do something to change that. Please help.
This is Roy Rogers.
And Dale Evans reminding you that child abuse can be prevented. Write Prevent Child Abuse, Box 2866, Chicago, Illinois, 60690.
That's Prevent Child Abuse, Box 2866, Chicago. Abused children are helpless unless you help. A public service message of this station, the Advertising Council, and the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse.
Henry, is this wise?
Wise and urgent. As you say, Commander, the shock of all this did unhinge me for the moment, though not quite in the way you think.
Why are you doing this, Henry?
Because there is a man in Benson's Cove who must be arrested at the earliest possible instant.
Benson's Cove, sir?
Gregor Marikian, the man who sold us the Flamingo. I think I can tell you things you ought to know about him, about international pirates, and about Vernon Wallace.
I'm especially glad you changed your mind about Wallace.
Especially glad about Wallace?
Well, you can see lying right there, sir, his name on the cover of that Bible, and the Bible soaked in fresh blood. Naturally, we'd have always wondered.
People will put in a long day because Avco is me.
Well, there have been times when a customer's come into Avco Financial Services on, say, a Friday night with a personal problem, so we've kept the office open and closed the loan.
9,000 people will go out of their way because Avco is me.
We make it a point to process paperwork real quick, get you the money in one day if we can. I guess you could say we have a service attitude.
9,000 people simply won't rest till they're the people when you borrow you like best.
If a customer needs some special help or some kind of personal attention, we'll go that extra distance.
Our people put you in the best company because Avco is me.
Well, I've even been known to make house calls.
Because Avco,
Scott Chamberlain, Stone Mountain, Georgia.
is me.
The Avco people in your town put you in the best company. Look in the phone book for the office nearest you.
The Mutual Radio Theater is brought to you 5 nights a week at this time. Tonight's original radio play, The Voyage of No Return, was written by Edward Borges and produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Your host was Vincent Price. Our stars were Jeanette Nolan, Parley Bear, and Eddie Firestone. Featured in the cast were John Shea and Michael Rye. The music for Radio Theater was composed and conducted by Nelson Riddle. John Harlan speaking. The Elliott Lewis production of Radio Theater is a presentation of CVI.
This is Cicely Tyson. Join us tomorrow when I'll have another story that illustrates one of love's many faces.
It's time now for Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons. Ladies and gentlemen, Amison and Colinos present Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, one of the most famous characters of American fiction in one of radio's most thrilling dramas. Tonight and every Thursday at the same time, the famous old investigator takes from his file and brings to us one of his most celebrated missing persons cases. Tonight's case is entitled The Case of Murder and the Star of Death. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, it contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients. That's why Anacin gives such incredibly fast, effective relief from headache, neuritis, or neuralgia pain. Many people have been introduced to Anacin tablets by their own physicians or dentists. If you haven't tried Anacin, then you may be surprised to see how incredibly fast it brings relief from neuralgic, neuritis, or headache pains. For most effective relief, use only as directed. Ask for Anacin at any drugstore. Now for Mr. Keene and the Case of Murder and the Star of Death. Our scene opens in a large and fashionable home in a New York suburb. A dinner party has been in progress. But now the three guests have gathered in the library, where the host, Mark Adams, observes with some amusement that they're all looking forward to a surprise he's been hinting about. A surprise he is soon to reveal to his regret.
Yes, indeed.
Mark!
Yes, Loretta.
What is this remarkable surprise you have for us?
Yes, what's the big secret? You've got something up your sleeve, old man.
Oh, no doubt about it, I have, Paul. As a matter of fact, that's why I invited you all to dinner this evening.
Then please don't keep us in suspense.
I shan't, Edith, my dear, but first, a prelude to my little exhibit. Loretta, you're a connoisseur of precious stones. Tell me, what's your favorite stone?
Well, Mark, I suppose most women would prefer a diamond, but I'm partial to sapphires.
Big ones?
What are you getting at, Mark?
Paul, you're as well known a collector of precious stones as I am. What would you say was the greatest sapphire in existence?
The Star of Death, of course.
Star of Death? What a dreadful name.
Would you like to see it?
You mean you have the Star of Death here?
In this box, on this table.
What?
I sold over 3/4 of my own collection of jewels to buy this sapphire from the Hancock estate, but it was worth it. See for yourself. There.
Oh, look.
Really, it's magnificent.
Oh, it's beautiful, Mark.
When I said I had a treat in store for you, I meant it. What happened to the lights?
No, they just went
What
out.
could it have been? They
Put the lights on, somebody.
Oh, wait, I'll find the switch. Here it is. There,
Oh.
that's better. Someone must have accidentally brushed against the wall switch and turned the lights off.
Mark, the sapphire.
It's gone. The Star of Death is gone. Very well, I can go along with the joke. Will the one who took the stone please replace it in the box on the table? Look here, a practical joke is one thing, but that sapphire's worth a fortune.
Mark,
Just a moment, Edith. Someone in this room is evidently a fool. Or a thief. But I'll give him or her a chance to save face. I'm going to put the lights out once again, and when I turn them back on, I'll expect to see that sapphire replaced inside this box, with no questions asked. Otherwise, I'm calling the police. You'll have just 5 seconds while I turn out the lights. Here goes. Remember, 5 seconds. Out!
Ah! Mark!
Let me at that light switch.
Mark! He's on the floor.
Don't touch him, Edith. He's dead.
My father had been stabbed to death with a letter opener, Mr. Keene, taken from the desk. He was murdered for that sapphire, the Star of Death.
I read about the case this morning, Kay, in the newspapers.
My partner, Mike Tansey, brought it to my attention.
Sure, it was one of the strangest cases in years. All 3 suspects were arrested, boss. But the police don't know which one murdered Mr. Adams and stole that sapphire.
Where were you at the time of the tragedy, Kay?
Away for the weekend at a friend's house. Oh, Dad had only taken my advice. I begged him not to buy that sapphire.
Why were you against his buying it, Kay?
You've heard about the stone, I'm sure, Mr. Keene. Its history is horrible. That's how it got its name, the Star of Death. 3 people died while it was in their possession, all violently. Father was the 4th victim.
Tell me something about your father's guests. Who was present that night?
There was Edith Sims. Father was very fond of her. I even think there was a possibility he might have married her. He'd been very lonely since Mother died 2 years ago.
And the other guests?
Paul Dudley is a jewel importer like Father was. They were close friends. And Mrs. Loretta Waynard is a well-known socialite, a widow. She's very rich, Mr. Keene, and she'd never have any reason to steal.
And that was all?
Yes, Mr. Keene. The servants had all left for the night. No one else was there but Father and his 3 kids.
The jewel, apparently, was never found on any of them.
No, Mr. Keene. All 3 persons swear they're innocent. And, well, it's hard for me to believe that any one of them could have done a thing like that.
How does it strike you, Mike?
Well, it's a puzzler, Mr. Keene. Sure, what happened to the sapphire? It couldn't have just disappeared.
No, Mike, and yet I'm sure all 3 suspects were thoroughly searched by the police.
Mr. Keene, couldn't it have been someone else? A thief who sneaked into the house?
It's possible, Kay, but I doubt it. By the way, who described the details of the murder to the police?
All 3 of Father's guests.
And their stories were identical?
In every detail. Will you help me, Mr. Keene? I have faith in the police, naturally, but this case is so mysterious. You're the most famous investigator in the country. And if you could work with the police...
I'll try my best, Kay. And I'll also try to recover the stolen sapphire for which your father was murdered.
Oh, thank you.
I suggest you go home now and wait for my call. I'll want to look the house over. But before I do that, I think I've got an idea.
What is it, boss?
It's rather unusual, but if Lieutenant Hale of the Homicide Squad is willing to cooperate with me, maybe Mark Adams' killer will pay far more for that sapphire than he ever bargained for.
But what you're suggesting, Mr. Keene, is dangerous.
I know that, Lieutenant Hale. One of your 3 prisoners is a killer, but I doubt if you'll ever find out which one is guilty unless you release all 3.
But what good will that do?
That sapphire, the Star of Death, hasn't been found yet, has it?
No, Mr. Keene.
Then it must be hidden somewhere.
Well, obviously.
Very well. Your police officers were with the 3 suspects from the time they left the Adams house, isn't that right?
In other words, the sapphire is still inside the house.
Exactly.
But we've searched the place thoroughly, Mr. Keene.
The murderer wouldn't have been foolish enough to stab Mark Adams to death if he or she didn't have an excellent hiding place for the sapphire.
Then how will we get the stone?
We'll let the killer find it for us and expose himself at the same time.
Sounds like a good idea if it works.
You can have the 3 suspects trailed by your plainclothesmen, but I prefer you wouldn't. Any slip-up would make the killer suspicious and spoil my plan.
All right. I'll go along with you, Mr. Keene, on one condition.
What's that, Lieutenant?
I'm going to station a man at all the airports and railway terminals. I don't want my pigeon to fly the coop.
I'm sure your pigeon will stay right here, Lieutenant, until he has his hands on that sapphire, the Star of Death. And when he reaches for it again, we'll have our hands on him.
This is the library, Mr. Keene. The room my father was murdered.
All right, Kay. We'll examine it thoroughly for any trace of the missing sapphire.
Well, I'll go over it with a fine-tooth comb, Mr. Keene.
Good, Mike. I suppose that heavy desk has been gone through, Kay?
At least 1,000 times. The police looked under the carpets and opened up the upholstery and the chairs. There isn't a spot in this room that hasn't been searched.
Isn't that the doorbell?
Yes. Excuse me, Mr. Keene.
Mike.
Yes, boss.
Never mind the search. After what Kay has just told me, I'm sure we'll have to wait for some kind of a break. And we may be getting one right now.
How so?
I've been expecting the murderer to make some excuse to return to his house for the stone. Let's see who's at the door.
Mr. Keene, this is Paul Dudley.
How do you do, Mr. Dudley?
Mr. Keene, this is a great pleasure, sir. I'm very glad to know you.
My partner, Mike Clancy.
How do you do?
Pleased to meet you.
Mr. Keene, Lieutenant Hale at police headquarters told me you were responsible for my release. I thought you'd be here with Kay Adams, and I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your confidence in me.
That's quite all right.
The murder was a shocking thing, and Mark Adams was my friend. But I trust the police now realize who the guilty woman is.
Oh, you believe they have the killer?
Naturally. That's the only reason they let me go, isn't it?
And who do you think she is, Mr. Dudley?
Why, Edith Sims, of course.
Oh, no. Edith Sims.
It's a horrible thing to say, I know, Kay, but I know more about Edith and your father than you do.
Just what do you know, Mr. Dudley?
I know Edith was poor, Mr. Keene, and she wanted to marry Mark. I also know he'd made up his mind not to marry again because of his daughter, Kay.
I see.
Sounds like more company, boss.
Yes, you stay here with Mr. Dudley, Mike. I'll go to the door with Kay.
This way, Mr. Keene. Is it true, Mr. Keene, that Edith Sims is being held by the police for father's murder?
No, Kay. No one's being held at the moment.
Kay, darling.
Oh, Edith.
Are you all right? I know how you must feel, dear. When your father died, everything I lived for went out of the world.
This is Mr. Keene, Edith.
Mr. Keene?
He's investigating father's death.
May I ask what brought you here, Miss Sims?
I came to comfort Kay, Mr. Keene. And I want to stay a few days, darling, here with you. We can console each other, perhaps just a little.
Of course, Edith.
That woman isn't here, is she?
What woman, Miss Sims?
Loretta Waynard.
Oh, no. No, she isn't.
Oh, thank goodness.
Why are you so relieved, Miss Sims?
Oh, did I sound relieved? I didn't mean...
Please, Edith, tell Mr. Keene everything you know. He's here to help me.
Well, I have no right to say this, Mr. Keene. But then I have no right to hold it back. I overheard Loretta Waynard quarrel with Mark Adams.
On the night he was murdered?
Yes. They were in the study just before dinner. Loretta told him she'd learned that he wanted to marry me. And she said he was out of his mind.
They must have been closer friends than I thought.
Loretta despised me, I know it. But I didn't care. It was what she said to Mark that hurt.
And what was that?
She said a man would be better off dead than married to a fortune hunter like me. Mark became angry, and she apologized, Mr. Keene.
Miss Sims, would you wait inside for me, please? Here's my partner, Mike Clancy. I want to have a word with him in private.
Come with me, Edith, dear.
Very well.
Oh, boss, we... Saint preserve us, another customer.
Yes, Mike, and I believe this one will be the last. The third and last guest at the dinner party where Mark Adams was murdered and a fabulous sapphire stolen. I'll open the door. You're Mrs. Loretta Waynard?
Yes. Is Kay Adams here? I came to pay my respects in her bereavement.
Please come in. My name is Keene, Mrs. Waynard.
Mr. Keene? The famous investigator? Well, this is a lucky coincidence. I'd heard you were investigating Mark Adams' murder, and I was coming to see you.
Why?
Because I know who murdered Mark. I realized it after I left police headquarters. I remembered a remark at dinner the night Mark was murdered. Paul Dudley said it, Mr. Keene, and I remember his exact words.
What were they, Mrs. Waynard?
He said he'd give anything for possession of that sapphire, the Star of Death, and that it was a jewel any man would murder for.
Did Paul Dudley know Mr. Adams had it in his possession at the time?
Why, I couldn't say, Mr. Keene. But I'm telling you the truth, and Edith Sims is my witness.
Very well. We'll give you a chance to prove it now. Miss Sims is inside, along with Mr. Dudley. Will you join them, Mrs. Waynard?
Certainly. I'm quite willing to make that statement to Paul's face.
Well, Mike?
Soon we've got a fine jigsaw puzzle on our hands, boss.
Each one accuses another, and their stories are all equally strong. The thing to do now is to find out who's lying, Mike, and put our hands on that fabulous sapphire. And when we do, the Star of Death can claim another victim when the killer gets the electric chair for murder.
In just a moment, we'll return to Mr. Keene and the case of murder and the Star of Death. Meanwhile, here's a marvelous new scientific discovery that actually helps prevent cavities in your teeth. Yes, actually helps prevent cavities. It's Colinos Anti-Decay Tooth Powder with ammonium ion. Greatest dental discovery since the invention of the toothbrush. Discovered by a great Midwestern university, this scientific ingredient reduces the lactobacilli bacteria in the mouth to help prevent harmful tooth decay. New Colinos is the first world-famous dentifrice to offer ammonium ion and retain its pleasant minty flavor and popular price. Neither this new Colinos powder nor any other ammonium ion dentifrice is a cure-all, but your dentist will tell you that in most cases, new Colinos, correctly used, reduces tooth decay, reduces the number of cavities. Think what that means to you and your children. Fewer fillings, less pain, less trouble. Above all, healthier teeth. And healthier teeth mean a cleaner mouth, more pleasing breath. Wonderful new Colinos is dentist recommended, dentist approved. So do as your dentist tells you. For brighter teeth, sweeter breath. Yes, and for fewer cavities, get new Colinos Anti-Decay Tooth Powder. Now back to Mr. Keene and the case of murder and the Star of Death. The murder of Mark Adams, a prominent jewel merchant, brings Mr. Keene, the great investigator, and his partner, Mike Clancy, on the trail of one of the cleverest jewel thieves in the country. For Mark Adams was murdered for the Star of Death, a fabulous sapphire that Mr. Keene believes has been hidden inside the Adams home by the killer. Now, the three people who were with the victim at the time of his death are in the house, along with Kay Adams, the victim's daughter. And as Mr. Keene and Mike gather them together in the room where Adams was murdered...
We seem to have reached an impasse in the mystery of Mark Adams' death, ladies and gentlemen. All three of you are under suspicion of murder.
How can you
Just
say
a moment, please. Mr. Dudley.
Well, Mr. Keene?
You told me a few moments ago that, in your opinion, Edith Sims committed the crime.
Paul, how could you say such a thing of me?
You loved him, Edith, and he refused to marry you.
That isn't true.
Mr. Dudley is also among the accused.
You mean someone says that I'm the murderer?
Loretta Waynard.
Why, I'll...
Take it easy, Mr. Dudley. The boss wants me to keep this conversation on a friendly level, so to speak.
And lastly, Mrs. Waynard joins the list of suspects.
What? Who could have blamed me for it, Mr. Keene?
I did, Mrs. Waynard.
Edith, you.
I overheard what you said to Mark. You told him he'd be better off dead than married to me. You loved him, too, and you were furious because he loved me.
How dare you say that? How dare...
Mrs. Waynard.
She tripped over the rug, Mr. Keene.
She struck her head against the floor. She's unconscious.
Would you carry her inside, Mr. Dudley? I'll call a doctor.
No. I'll be all right. I don't need a doctor.
She's coming around.
Better see that she rests for a few minutes anyway.
Here, let me help you, Mrs. Waynard. In spite of what you said about me, I'm not angry with you.
Help her in here, Paul.
All right, Kay.
There's a studio couch in this room.
Mike, I just noticed something.
What was it, boss?
Just before Mrs. Waynard tripped, I saw Paul Dudley bending over the desk looking at something.
Well, there's nothing on that desk but a blotter and a pen, Mr. Keene.
Wait. Don't examine it now. I think someone's coming.
Kay Adams said there was some water out here, and I thought Mrs. Waynard... Oh, here's a pitcher on the table.
How's she feeling, Mr. Dudley?
A little better. Oh, by the way, Mr. Keene, I'm remaining here in the Adams home for the night. I live upstate, and the next train is very late. Kay Adams has offered me a room.
I see.
Excuse me.
Well, that's two of them, boss. Miss Sims made an excuse to stay here, and so is Paul Dudley.
I'm also quite sure that Loretta Waynard will be too ill to go home this evening.
That makes three suspects, all trying to stay here in the house where that sapphire is hidden.
Come over to this desk again, Mike. I want to see what interested Mr. Dudley a moment ago.
Well, it's a very fancy desk, sir. Look at the leather covering.
It's kept in place by nail studs. And one of those studs seems to be loose. Yes, this is the one Paul Dudley was...
Mr. Keene, when you touch that nail head, a secret panel opened in the side of the desk. Look.
Yes. And look what it contains, Mike.
Saints preserve us. It's the sapphire, the Star of Death.
The most magnificent jewel I've ever seen. We'll take possession of it for the time being, Mike, and close this secret panel again. Don't say a word about this to any of them. As far as they're concerned, the sapphire is still missing.
Sure, and one of them's going to get a surprise, boss.
That's what I'm counting on. That secret panel in the desk is an ingenious contraption. It must have been specially made for someone.
Well, do you think Mark Adams had it made, Mr. Keene?
No. If he'd known about that secret panel, he'd have looked there the moment the jewel was missing.
Well, then who could have known?
The desk's original owner. Mr. Adams probably bought it from someone else.
Well, his daughter Kate knows, sir.
Possibly, but I don't want to ask her in front of the others. I'll wait for an opportune time.
Are we staying here for the night?
Everyone else seems to be. We may as well join them.
Well, what's the next move, Mr. Keene?
We found the Star of Death, Mike, but we still have to find our killer. Frankly, I think I can almost do that now, but let's wait for overwhelming proof. And I wouldn't be surprised if we obtained that proof tonight.
Mr. Keene!
Shh, not so loud, Kay. I hope I didn't waken you.
No, I've been trying to read. Are the others asleep?
Apparently, all but Mike Clancy and myself. He's in the library waiting for me.
What is it you want, Mr. Keene?
I didn't get a chance to talk to you alone, otherwise I'd have asked you this before. Where did the furniture in this house come from? Did your father buy it himself?
No, it came with the house when we bought it.
How long ago was that?
2 years, Mr. Keene.
And who sold it to you?
Father never told me. I was in school in Switzerland at the time.
Where's the deed to the house? That would give the person's name.
Why, the deed must be in Father's safe.
And where's that?
In Father's study. Do you want the combination, Mr. Keene?
If you know it, Kay.
I do. Left 1, right 6, left 4, right 9.
I just jot that down. All right, Kay.
What are you going to do, Mr. Keene?
I'm going to put my hands on your father's murderer.
Mr. Keene?
Yes, Mike. Put the lights on here in the study.
Did you get what you were after, boss?
I have it right here. The deed to the house with the seller's name on it. Everything seems to have worked out according to my suspicions, Mike, but there's one more thing we have to do.
What's that?
It's going to throw a scare into a few innocent people, but it's the only way to get final proof. You go upstairs, Mike. Knock on every bedroom door and spread an alarm that the house is on fire.
Boss, are you joking?
No, Mike, I'm serious. Don't behave as if anyone's life is in danger at the moment. Just say the fire's in the cellar and they have plenty of time to leave. Then tell them that the fire has burned the telephone wires and that I've left to get the fire department.
And where will you really be, Mr. Keene?
I'll be in the library waiting for the killer to recover that sapphire, the Star of Death.
Now, take it easy, folks. There's nothing to get alarmed about. Mr. Keene's calling out the fire department. All right, now. Come on, this way out.
I'll put the lights on, Mrs. Waynard, so you can see that secret panel a little better.
Mr. Keene!
I was expecting you to drop by for the sapphire.
Don't move, Mr. Keene.
I see you've got a gun.
You planned this. There isn't any fire.
You tricked me, Keene.
I began to suspect you this afternoon, Mrs. Waynard, when you tripped and fell at the psychological moment. While you were shouting at Edith Sims, you saw that Paul Dudley was interested in the desk. He noticed that loose nail head by accident, the one which opened the secret panel, and you distracted his attention and mine by falling suddenly and pretending to be hurt.
So I did, Mr. Keene.
Secondly, I found this deed. You were the one who sold this house and all the furniture in it to Mark Adams. So naturally, you must be the one who knew about the secret panel in that desk. When you murdered Adams, you knew you would be searched for the sapphire you stole, so you hid it there.
I sold Mark Adams this house because I lost my money, Mr. Keene. And I'm the kind of a woman who needs lots of it to live.
He paid you quite a sum for this house, according to the deed.
$150,000. But I'm used to having millions, Mr. Keene.
You must be quite a gambler to get rid of it so fast.
Yes, I love to gamble on anything. A roulette wheel, a race horse, or the turn of a card. I also like to live the way a woman of breeding is accustomed to live. That's why I wanted that sapphire.
No woman of breeding I ever knew was a cold-blooded murderer, Mrs. Waynard.
The Star of Death isn't inside that secret panel, Mr. Keene.
I know it isn't.
Which means you have it.
Perhaps.
Turn it over to me. I'm not playing games now, Keene. You'll either turn that sapphire over to me or you'll get a bullet in your head.
How would you get rid of the sapphire? A stone that size...
Stop stalling for time. I want that sapphire now.
Do you?
I'll count to 3. If you don't place it on top of that desk, I'll kill you. 1, 2...
Drop the gun. Drop it fast before I...
You put a bullet in my wrist.
Lucky you didn't get one in your heart.
For a moment, Mike, I thought you wouldn't return in time.
I wouldn't have missed you if I'd had the chance.
I know that. Mike?
Yes, boss.
Put in a call to Lieutenant Hale at police headquarters.
Okay, Mr. Keene.
Tell him we've managed to repay his patience and cooperation by solving this case. Say we found the Star of Death and the woman who murdered for it, and he can have them both at his convenience.
And so Mr. Keene finds the solution to the case of murder and the Star of Death. The next time you're suffering from the pains of headache, neuritis, or neuralgia, try Anacin. You'll bless the day you heard of this incredibly fast way to relieve these pains. Now, the reason Anacin is so wonderfully fast-acting and effective is this. Anacin is like a doctor's prescription. That is, Anacin contains not just one, but a combination of medically proven active ingredients in easy-to-take tablet form. Thousands of people have received envelopes containing Anacin tablets from their own dentist or physician, and in this way have discovered the incredibly fast relief Anacin brings from pain of headache, neuritis, or neuralgia. So next time such pains strike, take Anacin. For most effective relief, use only as directed. Your druggist has Anacin in handy boxes of 12 and 30, and economical family-size bottles of 50 and 100. The name is Anacin, A-N-A-C-I-N. Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, is based on the novel. Don't miss Mr. Keene next Thursday when the kindly old Tracer turns to the African blowgun murder case.
Old Time Radio USA will be right back with more of your favorite classics right after this.
That bag tear is the only thing separating you from America's #1 soybean brand and the best agronomic performance ever achieved. Pioneer brand A-Series soybeans, #1 for a reason. Visit pioneer.com/performance.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of holiday joy at the Home Depot, where you can find everything you need to get ready for the holiday season, like all new festive outdoor decor. Spread more joy this season with bigger, bolder, and brighter inflatables from the Home Depot, like our exclusive new 8-foot animated Santa and reindeer inflatable for just $149. Available in-store and online. Get holiday ready right now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
At Kroger, we know the minute a tomato is picked, the fresh timer starts. The sooner we get our produce to you, the fresher it is. That's why we've shortened the time from harvest to home for our tasty tomatoes, strawberries, and salads. So no matter how you shop, you have more time with your fresh produce. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
We've locked in low prices to help you save big store-wide. Look for the locked in low prices tags and enjoy extra savings throughout the store. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Jake from State Farm here to answer your what ifs.
What if I need a policy, but I just can't choose?
An agent can help you choose. At State Farm, we're there for your what ifs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer, and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Constant Contact helps small businesses stand tall with powerful digital marketing solutions. And now with advanced automation and AI tools in one place, we've got your marketing covered so you can focus more on running your business. With our AI content generator, you'll always have the right words to say. And with pre-built automated email and text messages, you'll say the right thing at the right time, every time. Constant Contact delivers the tools you need to keep up, excel, and grow. Try it free at ConstantContact.com.
This new Wendy's Frosty flavor is way too exciting to keep under wraps. It's a brand new, first-of-its-kind flavor. Get this, pumpkin spice. I know, right? It's so good. It's rich, it's cozy. It's the perfect flavor for some fall Frosty time. Watch, everyone will see it and jump on the bandwagon. Grab a never-before-seen Pumpkin Spice Frosty or Pumpkin Spice Frosty Cream Cold Brew today when you choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
Can be heard on The Big Show.
A phony name if I ever heard one.
90 minutes of comedy, music, and adventure hosted by Tallulah Bankhead. Wrap up your weekend with The Big Show every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the home of old-time classic radio fun, Old Time Radio USA.
Well, now that you've given me the brush, how about you and me going out and painting the town red?
Your favorite old-time radio shows all day, every day. You're listening to Old Time Radio USA.
At the gallop!
Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier. The saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire. And the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
I never seen the sense of it. Scrubbing day after day, putting clean clothes on the dirty army. It's a way to earn her keep. Every woman marries a man earns a keep. Night and day, it's all earning.
Not today, Eth. Don't start on that talk again today.
Now, I plumb forgot about your delicate condition, Stella Merchant. I need be minding my manners more. Just I ain't used to running into royalty on Soapsuds Row. Honest, I ain't.
I didn't mean to start you off, Es. I'm sorry.
Sorry, are you? Well, you're sorry looking, I'll say that for you. Another day or two and you won't be able to stand in the same room with your washboard.
All right, Es. All right.
It's a wash tub now, you are.
Couldn't you just be quiet? Think what you will, but keep it to yourself.
Enjoying yourself, ladies? Having a fine social hour, are you? Oh, Fanny, it's her. Look at her. Can you tell by looking she's a regular queen?
I'm doing the best I can. If you'd let me be, if you wouldn't go at me so much...
Now, you listen to me, Stella Merchant, and hear what I say.
Fanny, don't. Don't shake me.
I'll do what need be. You're not earning your pay. Now you get some elbow grease behind that scrubbing or I'll send you packing. With no pay for the month.
You wouldn't do that, Fanny. We need the money with the baby coming. We need every cent, Fanny.
Then earn it. Scrub. That's the way you get money around here.
Please, Fanny. Please, don't.
She's going white, Fanny. Ah, ninny.
If I could just get some air. Just a little air.
Well, now, a little air. That's what you have, Fanny, right before our eyes. You don't get her out of here. All right, Stella. Grab a hold one side of this clothes basket. You'll get all the air you need hanging clothes outside. I said grab a hold.
All right. Not quite so fast, Fanny.
Yeah, you're moving like cold molasses now. Carry your weight, Stella. Yeah. Pity they ain't some nice shade trees for you. Maybe a hammock. Ain't you the shape for a hammock, though?
Oh, maybe I shouldn't try. I thought I could work right up to the very day the baby came. Other women do.
You ain't other women.
You've no cause to talk to me like you do, Fanny. You and Es. I never give you cause.
You never give me nothing but an awful bellyache. Combing and bathing and making pretty for the men.
For my man, Fanny.
That's it, is it? You're so full of lying sweet talk you believe yourself.
I thought we could all be friends. Out here, so far from home, all of us. I thought we could help each other.
You're long on help, ain't you? Everybody help. Everybody be happy. Well, you be happy, Stella. Like you're so willing to tell anything to be near Billy. Happy to earn your keep washing filth. Happy to bear his young and happy, happy, happy.
I love Billy, Fanny.
Love. Ha.
You don't understand. You really don't understand. I never realized that till now.
It's the young as don't understand.
Did you never love Luke? Even then? When you were young? Did you never love him, Fanny?
Hang the clothes.
It would be awful if you didn't love.
You'll get no pay for John and taking the air like you are. You keep saying you need the money, we'll earn it.
I will, Fanny. I will earn it. I'm glad to.
And see you keep that glad stuff to yourself. You and your love and the life you feel kicking in you. I've buried more young'uns than you'll ever have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Truly sorry, Fanny.
Don't you never be sorry for me.
We followed the Laramie all the way till it cut through the range there. We left it and went cross-country west and north to a point about here.
It's almost to Medicine Bow River.
I think their main camp's on the Medicine Bow.
But you ran into other camps along the way?
Mm-hmm. Old camps, Major.
Yeah, the information you got from the settlers in the area would point to that. No Cheyenne in their vicinity since last fall. Isn't that the word?
And no Army patrol since last fall.
That follows?
To me, it does. The settlers have spent the winter in peace since the Cheyenne ran off their horses last fall. The cavalry sends out one small patrol in the late spring, and the Cheyenne mysteriously reappear.
But not in numbers.
All right. Cheyenne scouts, 8 of them.
You could have killed them at any time you were following them.
Yeah, just about. Only they were leading us, Major. There's a difference.
Only because you were willing to be led.
That was our business, reconnaissance. You don't kill 8 scouts who are leading you into a trap.
Of course you don't. If you're sure it's a trap.
Look, for 2 days, if we didn't keep pace with them, they waited for us. Morning of the 3rd day, they cut off into a canyon that leads straight to the Medicine Bow like we were leading a charge behind them. I know an ambush when I see one.
And you don't ride into them with 10 men behind you.
I don't ride into them with a company behind me.
All right, Captain.
I'm sorry, Major. We rode all night.
You rode all night for 3 nights. I know that, Lee. I want you to get some rest.
I'd like to finish my report, sir.
It can wait till morning.
I don't think so.
All right, Lee. Let's get it all said. I don't like it this way, but one of us has to get a good night's sleep.
I'll sleep fine, Major.
I will, too, once this is over. Now, from your report, you seem convinced the Cheyenne have their main camp in the Medicine Bow. I get the impression you think they're getting restless.
They'll have to move somewhere. That country had about 1 winter's good hunting left in it. They've had that.
If they haven't raided since fall, you're right. We could stop them before they start.
They'll move north, maybe as far north as the Montana Territory.
Why not south?
Other tribes, Utes, Apaches. The Cheyenne would rather face the white man.
I know.
Now, you're bleeding me pretty dry, Major.
How's that?
I got a feeling I'm mapping a campaign I'm not going to be part of.
You just finished the toughest part of a campaign. A lot of men can lead a charge who can't do successful reconnaissance.
Major, I want...
Captain. You're assigned to quarters till 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Who's going to replace me, Major?
I am.
I'd be a fool to question that choice.
Yes, you would. That's all, Captain. Dismissed.
Yes, sir. Oh, Major, who's going to replace you?
Me?
Yeah, here, as post commander.
You are. Any questions?
No, sir. No questions.
You can't see by that light, Stella.
Fine enough for this little bit of hand stitching, Billy.
Well, best you rest yourself a while. I want to sit in the doorway with me.
In a while, honey.
Oh, it's a fine night, Stella. Slice of moon. Nice bit of breeze off the sweet clover.
I can smell it from here. It's like home, ain't it, Billy?
Oh, it is home, Stella. Only one we ever had together. You ever think of it? Maybe some Injun and his squaw sitting like we are tonight, looking out at the stars, talking about the papoose they're going to have in no time at all.
Billy Merchant, how you think of things like that?
They come to me. Well, don't they come to you?
You know they do. It's part of what we have together, you and me. But that's not a man thought, is it?
How you sound like Luke and Joe. Sweet Billy, they call me. It's just because I notice a sky or a flower.
Don't you mind them, Billy.
No, I don't. I don't mind them. Like you don't mind fanning. Yes.
Why you say it that way?
'Cause that's the way it is, Stella. Feeling folks like us, we feel too much sometimes. We let folks get to us, rub us wrong, maybe. Maybe hurt us some.
I love you.
Sure. I said we were feeling folks.
Oh, Billy. Billy.
When you gonna have that baby, Stella?
Soon, honey. As soon as I can.
It's a hard time for you. I know that.
Not too hard, Billy.
You're fretting some. You got some pain?
No, not real pain. Like a catch, you know. Not often enough to matter.
Now, it wouldn't be right to lie to me, honey.
I don't lie to you. Ever.
Just sometimes you don't tell me all the truth, ain't that it?
You're feeling folks, too. You ought to know good as me.
Yeah. Yeah, I oughta.
You're fretting some, Billy Merchant. That's who's fretting around here.
A man's going to be a father has all the right. You know, they do say some men take on worse than women, folks. You know that, Stella? Swimmy-headed morning times like that?
That ain't what's troubling you.
No. No, it ain't. No, it sure ain't. How many times I asked you to give up your work at the laundry?
You mean how many times today you asked me?
Yeah, and always you tell me it's what you gotta do, no matter what.
It is, Billy.
It's the same with me, Stella. I got my work to do, no matter what.
Now then, I ain't asked you to give up being a trooper. I declare, I don't know what B Company'd do without you.
I ain't drawed nothing but garrison duty for more than a month now. I just ain't gonna last.
Billy?
On stable detail today. We were sure ready in those mounts for something more than a parade ground, Stella.
You got orders to move out?
No, ma'am. No, but Captain Quince's patrol come back on the post today. And when reconnaissance comes back, we just gotta be moving out.
Be nice if you's wrong, Billy.
We gotta face up to it, Stella. You might just gotta have that baby without me.
I sure never planned that way.
If it had to be, would you want to try to make it back home?
To my ma?
Sure.
Why, Billy Merchant, that'd take every cent we own and then some.
I ain't thinking of that.
Well, then you think about it right now. Only don't take the bother. If they was money, they ain't time.
Stella, I want to be with you more than anything I could name. But I can't ask the favor of a leave. You understand that?
You got your work to do, Billy. No matter what.
Come in.
Captain Quince, sir.
Sergeant?
I must have took a wrong turn, sir. I was told to report to the office of the post commander.
Close the door, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Now, sit down, Gorse. And, Gorse, any time you want to get rid of that stupid grin, you can.
Yes, sir. Well, you look powerful big behind that desk.
Yeah, too big for the desk. Maybe too small for the job.
You'll do what you gotta do, Captain.
I was thinking more that we'd do what I gotta do, Gorse.
You was?
Major Daggett tells me that Sergeant Pearson takes a big load off him sitting at that desk outside.
Well, he ain't sitting out there now.
He's getting his equipment together, fixing to move out with Major Daggett after reveille tomorrow morning.
Captain Quinn.
He'll need a good briefing, Sergeant Pearson will.
Well, I'd like to volunteer to...
Good. That saves me an order, Sergeant.
To go with B Company as a special scout.
And when you've finished briefing him, he can fill you in on the details of his desk job.
One of us ain't listening, Captain.
It's a side of the Army we don't know much about, Gorse. Time we did.
You being in charge and all, you think you could arrange a quick transfer for us, maybe the infantry?
Better find Sergeant Pearson. Tell him all you know.
Yes, sir. Now, that'd be my job, wouldn't it?
till we get swinging doors. Guess it is.
Lieutenant Sybert, sir.
Sergeant? Captain Quinn, sir?
Oh, come in, Mr. Syberts. Your duty begins in an hour, Sergeant.
Yes, sir. With the captain's permission, I'd like to offer congratulations, sir.
You came here for a briefing, Mr. Syberts.
I understand that.
Sit down.
Yes, sir.
You familiar with the Horseshoe Creek area?
Oh, yes, sir. That map you're using.
The map's wrong.
Well, I drew that map, Captain.
Then you're wrong. Horseshoe Creek does not feed from the Medicine Bow River.
No, sir. From the Little Medicine Bow.
Not by 20 miles, Mr. Syberts. 20 miles of twisting canyon through the Laramie Range. That's this line here. Now, Horseshoe Creek is east of the range. Medicine Bow and the Little Medicine Bow are to the west. They do not join.
Well, they must have once, sir. It's like a riverbed all through the floor of that canyon.
They didn't join last fall when you drew this map.
You mean the waters didn't join, the riverbeds did?
Mr. Syberts, a cavalry company moves with water. Water points a course of travel, a campsite.
I know that, sir.
Do you?
Captain Quince, that's the first country I ever charted, the first map I ever drew.
Well?
It's not an excuse, sir.
Sounds like one, Mr. Syberts.
Well, what I mean, seeing it was my first real attempt and all, I never thought that we'd be using that map to campaign by.
We're not.
That's good.
You bet it's good, Mr. Syberts. Good and lucky. I pulled this map out of the Major's files last night to study it. I spent the rest of the night drawing up a proper map. Here, Mr. Syberts. You tear it up.
Thank you, Captain.
Don't thank me. Remember it. Remember it good. And then forget it.
Captain Quinn.
I've already forgotten it, Mr. Syberts.
Can't see him now, Merchant. Whatever it is, it's got to wait.
Babies don't wait, Sergeant.
Trouble here, men?
No trouble, Captain.
Captain Quinn, sir, I'd like
That's
to...
enough, Trooper.
Company B's forming fours in the parade ground, Merchant.
Yes, sir, Captain. But what I'd
No
like to...
buts about it.
Captain Quince, I respectfully request permission for an... Can I please get a hearing from you, sir?
Captain don't conduct no hearings this time of day, Trooper.
It's all right, Gores. Let's have it, Merchant. And quick.
Obliged, sir. Any time now, any little minute, I'm going to have a baby, Captain.
Well...
Sergeant, my respects to Major Daggett. Tell him Trooper Merchant will be on the parade ground in 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
I met my wife, Captain. Stella. She's having the baby.
I'm glad to hear that, Merchant.
Now, seeing it's her first, sir, and her being alone, I mean no kinfolk nearby to help, lend a hand.
I hope you're not asking me for leave, Trooper.
No, sir. I mean to move out with the company.
You'll move out with the company. You'll have nothing on your mind but the Cheyenne.
I know what you mean, sir.
Then all we got to settle is what you mean, Merchant.
Well, sir, it pleased me to tell Stella that the post surgeon was on hand to tend after her. And the baby, too, when it comes. Well, that eased her some, sir.
Well?
It'd ease me some if you was pleased to tell me I was telling Stella all the truth.
The post surgeon's leaving with B Company, Merchant.
I see, sir.
Your wife in your quarters now?
No, sir. No, she's working in the laundry.
Well, we're holding things up, Merchant.
Yes, sir. And thanks for hearing me out.
Merchant, you know that Merchant, women have babies every day.
Yes, sir. I'll sure try to look on it that way, sir.
Good luck, Trooper.
Look at that Luke. Never was a man so glad to leave his woman.
There's one as glad, right next to him. Joe, beaming and smirking, grates on my nerves sometimes, seeing that brother face engine arrows in us.
And I ain't grieving none myself. Luke's been home a month.
A good month.
Good and long, that's a fact. I know what you're thinking, Ass.
Oh, you sure?
You'll be to yourself.
all to yourself. That's your blessing. You know it is, Fanny.
Oh, they haven't gone yet. I was most afraid they'd be gone.
Well, now, look who's managing a brave little smile.
She don't know enough to laugh, S. Pay her no mind. I don't see Billy. Could you just point out Billy to me?
Use your young eyes. No matter you don't see him. He couldn't stand a chance of missing you, popping clean into the parade grounds the way you are.
Could be your sweet Billy's in trouble. He was late for formation. And he come out of headquarters with Captain Quince himself. You can't fret me, Fanny. Say what you will, the two of you, you can't fret me. There ain't nobody can fret me no more. There they go.
Only stirring sight they is, bands a-playing and flags a-flying.
And men leaving. Would you, if you see him, point out Billy to me? I declare I can't see him yet. Well, you're not likely to yet. Them's officers up front. Major Daggett and that Lieutenant Sybert.
Who's that other one riding atwixt them?
Well, I declare that's Major Truck. Now, you don't see him riding off every day.
Wonder who's heading the hospital with him a-going.
Who's Major Truck? You mean you don't know the post surgeon when you see him? Post surgeon leaving? Well, you didn't think he'd stay here to look after you-uns now, did you? He must not have known. Billy wouldn't have said. If he'd known. Billy? Billy? Don't you worry none now. Billy? Not a worry. Yeah. Oh, come on, S, for this turns my stomach good.
I'll get the door for you, Captain.
You sure this is where she lives?
It's Merchant's, all right.
Turn the bed down, Gorse.
Yes, sir. It's a mite stuffy in here. I'll get that window.
And some water, Gorse. She's limp as a rag.
Yes, sir. Just like I found her, Captain. Keeled over in her tracks.
A little water on her face. Maybe it'll brighten her. She's breathing quiet enough.
Too quiet, Captain?
I don't think so.
Oh, Billy. Billy.
She thinks you're her husband, Captain.
Big mistake. Here, ma'am. You drink a little water. You'll come around.
Don't know you.
No, ma'am.
You're in my quarters, and I don't know you.
No sense giving her a fright, Captain. I'll just go along.
You leave me, Gorse. I'll throw you right in the stockade.
Yes, sir.
Here. Now take her hands, Gorse.
Oh.
Take her hands?
Hold them.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I guess. You know.
Well, go ahead, Captain.
Go ahead and what?
Hit it.
Hit it? It's a girl.
No matter. You're supposed to hit it one on its sit-down.
Yeah, that's right. It's the first right move we made.
Now, don't cry, little girl. Don't you cry. You'll wake your ma.
Don't worry, Gorse. I don't think her ma'd mind.
Fort Laramie,
is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort Laramie by Kathleen Height, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper, musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Jack Moyles and Harry Bartell, with Virginia Gregg, Dick Crenna, Helen Klebe, and Ann Morrison.
Company, attention! Dismiss.
Next week, another transcribed story of the Northwest frontier and the troopers who fought under Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry. Sitting ducks are supposed to be targets for trouble. Your car is a sitting duck and yourself a target for trouble when you park carelessly. These days, problems of finding a parking place lead some drivers to attempt parking in spaces that are too small. They leave parts of the car exposed, jutting out into traffic lanes. As a result, another car swerving or coming around a corner can smack into the exposed front or rear end. Double parking, along with all the frustration it can cause, also increases the hazard of this kind of accident. Don't make your car a sitting duck in the way and asking for trouble.
Now, Autolite and its 60,000 dealers and service stations present
Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Gregory Peck in Michael Venning's Murder Through the Looking Glass, a suspense play produced and directed by Anton M. Leader.
Friends, even a camel can't compete with an Autolite Stay Full battery because an Autolite Stay Full battery needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. Yes, sir, that dandy, dynamic, dependable Autolite Stay Full battery has extra plates, too, for extra power, protected by fiberglass insulation for longer life and stronger life. Did I say longer life? Well, I meant it. An Autolite Stay Full battery has almost double the life of an ordinary battery. Why, in tests conducted, according to the Society of Automotive Engineers of Life Cycle Standards, Autolite Stay Full batteries give 70% longer average life than batteries without Stay Full features. So get wise, get Autolite. Remember, you're right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents Gregory Peck in a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The sound was a dull, monotonous roar in my ears, and I listened, wondering if it were real or part of a dream. Suddenly, I was awake, and I knew that I was riding on a train. But where? I didn't remember getting on a train. I opened my eyes and saw that I was in the lounge car. There was only darkness through the window. A man sat across from me reading. There was a bridge game down the aisle. A porter serving drinks. Everything nice and normal, except that I had no idea how I got on the train or why I was there. I tried to think of a reason for being there, but I couldn't. These spells of forgetfulness had been coming on more often lately. I leaned back and closed my eyes, listened to the rhythm of the train. A melody began to fit itself to the rhythm. I couldn't remember ever having heard such a song, but somehow I seemed to know the words. Down in the valley so low, late in the evening, hear that train blow, hear that train blow.
I beg your pardon, sir, but your singing is disturbing the other passengers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You understand, sir, it's the other passengers. I kind of liked your singing myself.
Your singing didn't disturb me either, young man. In fact, it was rather a pretty melody. What was the name of it?
Why, it's, you know, it's silly, but I don't know. I can't even remember the tune now.
That's the way it is with songs. I've had the same thing happen to me.
So what train is this?
Why, it's the New York Express to Philadelphia. Ought to be there any minute, too. You must have been on some party if it lasted all day.
Or what time is it?
7 o'clock. P.M., that is. Yes, sir. It must have been pretty drunk out where you were.
I think he said something else after that, but I wasn't listening then. I noticed that I was wearing a brown topcoat. It wasn't mine. Maybe I'd accidentally exchanged coats with someone. If I couldn't remember it, it must have been that kind of a party. If so, I felt for my wallet. It was there. I opened it to see if I had any money left, and my eye was caught by the driver's license made out to John Blake. In another pocket of the wallet, there were engraved cards reading John Blake Insurance. I wasn't John Blake. I was Jeffrey Bruno, a writer. I couldn't even drive a car. I didn't know anything about insurance. I'd never heard of a John Blake, but here was his identification in my wallet.
What's the matter, young fellow? Are you ill?
The man across from me said something, but I didn't hear what it was. I looked through the other pockets. There was a bank book showing that John Blake had a bank balance of $647.55. My balance had never been higher than $15. There was a letter, a bill for shirts, addressed to John Blake at an address I never heard of before. There was a moment there, a few crazy seconds, when I wondered if I really was John Blake. No, I couldn't be. I knew I was Jeffrey Bruno, who lived at a 2-room apartment in Greenwich Village and wrote mystery stories for a living. I knew who I was.
Broad Street. Well, here we are. Or are you going on downtown?
Well, I could get a train back to New York here, couldn't I?
Sure, right across on the other platform. That must have been some party.
I had to get back to New York and straighten out this business about John Blake's coat and identification. Whoever he was, might even be thinking I'd stolen them. Besides, I wanted to find out where I'd been the night before and all day, and why I'd awakened on a train to Philadelphia. Then, just as I got up from the seat, I glanced out of the window. The newsboy was holding up a newspaper. Across the top was the big headline.
Killer Blake escaped.
Blake. And just below it, there was a picture of me. Pulling down my hat and turning up my coat collar, I managed to get on a New York train without anyone recognizing me. Then, fortunately, no one pays any attention to anyone else on New York subways. 2 blocks from my apartment house, I stopped at the corner stand to buy a newspaper.
Oh, there you are, Mr. Bruno. Haven't seen you around for a couple days.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Hey, you know, I saw your picture somewhere today. You got a story in one of the magazines, maybe?
No. Well, good.
Wait a minute. I'll remember where I saw your picture. I never forget
I've got to go now. You can tell me about it tomorrow. I had to get away before he remembered. I looked down and saw my picture on his papers. At home, there were a lot of letters in my box. Too many for just one delivery. When I got to the apartment, I looked at them. 2 of the letters had been postmarked in New York 3 days before. It doesn't take 3 days for letters to be delivered locally. Where had I been for 3 days? Who's there?
Rosalie.
Oh, Rosalie, just a minute.
Hi, Jeff. I thought I heard someone in here. Well, a friend of yours stopped by, but you weren't home. He ran into me on the stairs and asked if I lived here and then wanted me to give you a message. Burnett was his name. Bill, I think you said.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here, Rosalie. Stay and talk to me. We can have some coffee or a drink. When did you say Bill was here?
Yesterday morning. He said something about having had a date with you the night before, but you never showed up.
Yesterday morning. Oh, yes.
What's the matter, Jeff? Don't you feel well?
Oh, sure. I feel fine. Rosalie, tell me, do I ever do anything out of the ordinary? I mean, have I ever seemed strange?
You mean, are you... Well, you've always seemed very sane to me, if that's what you mean. In spite of your vanishing acts.
My what?
The times you disappear. You don't know? I'm sorry.
Let me finish it for you. You mean the days when I've awakened thinking it was Tuesday, only it'd turn out to be Thursday. You mean I'd disappear for a couple of days, go somewhere else, become somebody else?
Oh, I wouldn't have said anything, Jeff, but...
Well, then why don't I remember? Oh, I've heard of people drawing blanks because they've had too much to drink, but now maybe it's something different.
What is, Jeff?
Well, I told her all about it. All I knew anyway. At first she was frightened, but then I guess she felt sorry for me and she got over it. Before Rosalie had always been just a beautiful, desirable girl. I'd had drinks with her a few times in her apartment and mine, but that was all. Oh, not that I hadn't wanted to take her out, but she was a model, and I was sure that she led a glamorous life with rich men begging to take her out. But now she didn't look as glamorous as she looked understanding. I needed that. For I was beginning to believe that the explanation of John Blake wasn't as simple as I first thought.
I'm glad I came in, Jeff. You need someone. And it doesn't matter whether you're John Blake or not.
Well, it matters to me. I know I'm Jeffrey Bruno and not some guy named John Blake. Why, I can remember my whole life living on the farm, going to school, working on a newspaper, coming to New York. I can remember every minute of it.
Every minute?
No. No, not every minute.
You know, Jeff, such things can happen. White-bearded old men with eyeglasses write books about such things. They've got a word for it. I can't pronounce it, but it means that you can be two people at one time and not know it. So maybe I'm John Blake, too. I was way ahead of you in thinking that. And if you are,